Hello everyone, welcome back to Tyler's Podcast here today. The first time I've done a video by myself since I left university, and today we're going to be reviewing Secret Invasion, but first I want to explain why I didn't review the first two episodes. As you can probably tell, this eye over here is looking a bit different to this one. I've had a really difficult kind of thing with it going on for the past 2 weeks, which meant when the first episode of Secret Invasion came out, I couldn't even really watch it. And it's getting better every time, and it's slowly getting better, but it's taking its time, and we will get there. But yeah, so just thought I'd let you know that. But anyway, let's get into Secret Invasion. So I thought this episode was really good. Obviously building for the last two episodes, it definitely does the whole who do you think you can trust sort of thing, and we get some really good moments in this one. But I do feel like it is worrying me a little bit, because not much happened here in the grand scheme of the overall plot, really. And that's kind of the issue with the Disney Plus shows, is that they tend to lull in the middle and rush the ending, which is something I'm really afraid of with this show, because I thought the first two episodes were really strong, and I mean really strong. Like, you have to put it in the perspective of the last Disney Plus show we got, I think, was She-Hulk, unless I'm forgetting one. Did Moon Knight come out after She-Hulk? I can't remember. It was one of the two. And at the end of the day, I think that the first two episodes of this were much stronger than anything we got in She-Hulk. I didn't mind She-Hulk either. I'm not in the opinion of it's the worst thing to happen to the MCU. I thought it was fine. But this was built up to be like the continuation of the Skrull story from Captain Marvel, and the cast in this is stacked. One thing I will say in this episode is that Ben Mendelsohn and Samuel L. Jackson continue to shine as Talos and Nick Fury, just perfect, and their back and forth is brilliant. I'd probably say that's the strongest element of this story and this episode was that. No doubt, it seems that it's like a buddy cop duo for this, which is weird when you consider the subject matter. But I think the creatives did a really good job at balancing not only the funny side of the MCU with the seriousness of what was going on in the situation. And I think that overall the MCU struggles with that. I'm a big MCU fan, but I would say it's probably its biggest downfall, is that sometimes the comedy doesn't really know when to stop. And this time I thought it did alright. Yeah, really kind of good balance. I thought the direction was great in this episode as well. Some really interesting fight sequences and some really good conversations as well. I think that's a weird positive to give to a show, but I think if people that have been watching it will agree with me that sometimes some of the best sequences in the series so far have just been conversations between characters that you don't know if you can trust them or not. I mean, you're looking at things like, that scene between Talos and Nick Fury last week, and even Rhodey and Nick Fury last week. Essentially, any conversation where Nick Fury gets somebody in a room and talks to them, it's a great scene. And overall, I thought that was really good. There's a few bits I'm not a massive fan of. I don't really understand why Emilia Clarke's character is really in this show. Obviously, Talos' daughter, who's supposedly on the side of Kingsley Ben-Adir's character, and I just don't buy the betrayal either. I don't think we spent enough time with her to know why she's switching sides. I think that's probably my biggest criticism, is that she switches sides so much in this show. It's hard to kind of follow where she's at least for me, or maybe I just not paying enough attention. But yeah, I love Emilia Clarke. I think she's fantastic at anything that she does, but I think this time she's just... I feel like they've got a great actor there, and especially when you announce that her and Kingsley Ben-Adir are your two main actors for your villains in this show, and then you drop the ball a little bit. I like Gravik. I think Gravik's a great character, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it feels a bit weird. I think the fact that she gets killed off, or supposedly killed off in this, who knows, it might be a ruse, and I'm fully expecting it to be a ruse, because, well, you got Emilia Clarke in this show and she's done nothing. So I don't believe that she's gone. If so, that's a really waste of a casting, to be honest. I think that they could have given her a much bigger role within the MCU. Potentially not in this show, but in the MCU as a whole. Now, in this episode as well, we do get a bit more of the Nick Fury Skrull relationship romance side of thing with his partner. We found out that essentially after the events of Captain Marvel, Nick Fury was meant to meet up with her, and turns out that she was a Skrull, and he's been dating a Skrull the entire time. Because I remember there were some theories dotted around, and whether he knew that he was dating a Skrull the whole time. It turns out yes, he does. The thing is, though, he doesn't trust her, which I think is a really interesting element, and I think it's really good because they also describe what it was like for her when Nick Fury, not only when he dusted, but he also dipped to go on to Sword or Saber. I forget what they call it. I think it's Saber, but I could be wrong. Up in space, and he left her again. He didn't come back after he returned after the blip, and she just thought he died. And it turns out that there's some stuff going on there. But I think the acting was really good because obviously this isn't a relationship that we've seen in the MCU that much. Really, we've seen it for only like 5 minutes so far, if that. But you can tell that there's a lot of love and pain there, and you can kind of see what it's like. She said that she knew what she signed up for when she started dating Nick Fury. She said that she knew that he'd have to leave, but to leave and never come back is the biggest pain. I just thought that was brilliant. Because again, it's interesting, and the fact that he can't trust her now during all this kind of stuff, it makes some really intense scenes anytime any character's on screen. And at the end, when she's on the phone to who I thought was Rhodey on the phone, and again, I know that was the big one that everyone thought, War Machine being a Skrull or whatever, but it does make you think, shit, who is going to be revealed to be a Skrull? I mean, look, we obviously know that Martin Freeman was revealed to be a Skrull in episode 1. I think he's coming back into it. I don't think you get Martin Freeman for one scene in a Disney Plus show. I think if you paid the money, you're going to use him. So I think he could be back in the last episode, if not the last 2. But it's an interesting one, this, isn't it? It's an interesting story. But yeah, I thought this episode was really strong, especially in its characters and its development. We kind of got a bit more of the whole Super Skrull arc. They kind of built into it at the very start of the episode and then pulled back towards the end, which I thought was a bit interesting. They kind of did that as the pre-title sequence, which I still don't like the fact it's AI generated, by the way. I think that's kind of lazy, and when you've got so many fantastic artists out there, Disney, you can afford it. Or maybe not, depending, because Indiana Jones is losing money. But it does beg the question why you would open that sort of like, okay, this is the path we're going down, we're learning about the Super Skrulls. And then we get Gravik with the Extremis stuff midway through, and that's sort of all we learn. It felt a bit weird. I like the fact that Nick Fury in the show is just is all business. The fact that he takes that guy's son and just is like, I will shoot him if you kill my guy. I think that's a really... It's hard because you're sort of there and you're sort of on Telos' side of the whole, let's not harm anyone, let's not do it. But when you see Nick Fury just be like, no, do you know what? Everyone, you can't trust anyone. You've got to take everyone out. You've got to go, absolutely balls to the wall. It creates on the edge television. That's something that this show's done very well. Even with its flaws in its storytelling, and there are a few, it makes every scene interesting because you just don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how far the characters are going to go. And normally in the MCU, you know that. You know how far Steve Rogers is willing to go, or Iron Man, or, etc. and so forth. Whereas Nick Fury's sort of one of those characters that, although we've seen a lot of him, we really don't know too much about him, to be honest. I think that makes him a really interesting protagonist for this show. Same thing for Telos, really, because this is kind of Telos' episode. I mean, Nick Fury's in it quite a lot, obviously, but we have a scene between Telos and Gravik where essentially Telos is conflicted because he feels indebted to Fury after what Fury did for him. There's a scene as well where he goes, the reason I'm not with Gravik is because I disagree with him. The reason I'm not with Gravik is because of you. And it's, Nick Fury goes, well, Gravik's fighting for you to get you a place. I think that's a really interesting position to put Telos in. I think Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic in this show. But There wasn't any much of Fallsworth this week, who is, I thought she had the breakout scene of last episode, and she's not really in this one. We've got to keep our eye on her, because we don't know what kind of villain or part to play she'll have. So it's going to be certainly interesting to kind of see what they opt to do with her. And I sort of don't really know where the direction of the show's going. Obviously, we had the stuff today where they had to cancel the strike. That was fine. I thought it was a good part, but it's all kind of very vague as to what the Skrulls are doing. They kind of want the humans to go at war with each other, and then they want to cause a war between the humans, so the humans essentially eliminate themselves, and the Skrulls can take over. But it kind of just feels a bit directionless, and there's kind of no method to the madness. Which I guess is, as villains go, it's fine, but when you're trying to watch the show, you don't really know, what can Talos and Fury do to stop this? I mean, they're doing little things, but I don't really, there needs to be more, and I think there needs to be, coming out into episode 4 next week, we need to know where we're going in the last 2 episodes. Let's not feel directionless and patch it up at the last second. Let's go into our last episodes with momentum and excitement, because although I am excited for the second half of this show, I'm also, I wasn't on the edge of my seat by the end of this week. I mean, apart from the whole thing on the phone with Rhodey, I think it was Rhodey. If I'm wrong with that, then I'm heavily sorry, but I thought it was Rhodey. But yeah, that was kind of my review. Obviously a bit of a conflicted one this week. I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was a bad episode, but it didn't blow me away like the first 2 did. I think this one kind of just felt a bit filler, and when you got 6 episodes, I don't know if you can really do filler. And I'm worried, based on the track record of these Disney Plus shows, they do filler, but for sort of no reason, and then they rush the endings. So let's hope it doesn't repeat itself. But if you guys have enjoyed this, please do like, comment, and subscribe. I always like to know your thoughts on these things, because sometimes, it's always nice to get a conversation going down below in the comments section. But yeah, if you could comment, if you could like and subscribe as well, because you guys have been great lately, and I can't thank you enough for the support. So yeah, I'll see you guys all soon though. Please do take care, and bye bye.